I was excited about this idea of having you on really to capture maybe, some of your wins since you started participating, generally on your path to financial independence, but more specifically, since you started participating in this Households of FI case study series with us. Why don't you catch our audience up a little bit with your progress, your perceived progress over the last year or so?
Yeah. Oh man, well, our life has turned upside down, as has a lot of people's in the last year. But ours, it's actually been pretty positive, mostly positive stuff. So we talked with Paula. Gosh, it's been a little while, and it was a real estate conversation because we really wanted to get a house hack going or own a rental property or something. And the biggest takeaway for us from that conversation was, if it's a good deal, move forward.
Yeah. We had this kind of stuck mindset of, the house should be 100,000 or less or things like that.
And ready to live in.
All these different things. And so we had that conversation with her, and she was very transparent and just said, well, if the numbers make sense, the numbers make sense. And we hadn't really thought of it that way, looking at houses that were above a certain price point. And so then we were like, okay, well, we got to find something that makes sense.
I mean, within probably a month or two of that conversation, we had bought the house that we're in right now.
Yep.
Which
sold our other house.
I gotta say, your bookcase looks amazing. Wow. Just very impressed by your bookcase.
Awesome.
With COVID conversations over video, you don't have to have a clean house. You just have to have a clean background.
Yeah. You're right. You're not wrong.
That's amazing. So within 2 months, so it's funny because I dialed in on that exact section of your episode with Paula, where she said it was like a very be here now. I think that's what she said, right? Is this a good deal at the present moment?
Yes.
Because you guys were looking at, and so many of us fall prey to this, right? Like this is just human nature of almost like even sunk costs plays into this to some degree, or like, oh, did I miss out? Or, oh, when is that downturn going to come? When is the next market drop going to be? We all overthink this. And her thought of, hey, do the numbers work today, right? If this is a business today, then, hey, I don't have to worry about all that baggage is gone. So that's so cool that resonated with you guys and you took action. So within 2 months, you're saying?
Yeah, we sold our twin house that we were living in. And because of how the market is where we are in Southern Utah, we were able to sell it for a really good profit and put 20% down onto this house that we're in now. And we had leftover to do some projects because it was kind of a hot mess when we bought it. And then, it was kind of at the beginning of COVID. And then we got our stimulus checks. And with all of those stimulus checks, we just put it into more house projects. And so our basement apartment is finished and it got rented yesterday. So
wow. Rented yesterday. This is timely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So I would love to clarify, because I listened to Paula's episode with you guys as well. Just absolutely love the approach that Brad just referenced, but it's very interesting going into that conversation. You guys were more of a live-in flip approach. So sell for capital gains. And I heard you kind of transition to a conversation about 1% rule, about the 50% rule, things like that, which while they might be useful for a homeowner to be mindful of generally, they're clearly the intent, the way you're using it is more as a business where you're going to be renting or bringing in income from the property. So I'm curious for you, how did you translate what you learned from that episode into running the numbers for what you're doing now? Because I think you just described, we've transitioned to a house hack scenario. So what was the math you used that made you very comfortable with this scenario?
So this house here, I'll give you the numbers straight up, is a $245,000 house. Because interest rates were so low at the time, and they're still very low, but we got a 2% interest rate. And that's thanks to, all our journey getting out of debt. We had pretty good credit.
We have really good credit.
Given it where it's due. Okay, I'll take that.
Are we pushing 850? That sounds darn good, man.
Yeah.
So and so our mortgage is actually the same price as it was in our twin home, which was half the size.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is one of the cool parts about being a podcast host is I get to close the loop on things. What is a twin home? You talked about that on 247. Is it a duplex? What is a twin home?
It's basically a duplex. Yeah. It's two houses that are one house.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay, keep going. Yeah. Thank you for
So because of that, because the mortgage was basically the same, our mortgage right now is $1,000 a month. And the people who live below us pay us $1,100 a month.
Yep.
So not only are they covering our mortgage, but they're covering 2 of our bills.
Yeah, 2 of our utilities.
So when we realized that when we took a look at the rental market and we realized that we could rent that basement apartment for that much, it was a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah.
How did you establish what you could rent your basement for in your market? Like, looking at all these houses, what made you clear on that? And what did you decide you were going to have to do to be able to pull that off?
So we live in a college town. And so our house is a few blocks from the campus. And there's some Facebook pages and some different things. And we're also friends with some real estate people here in town. And we just kind of have always kept an eye on how much everything was to rent. And so our apartment downstairs is fully furnished and just from extra furniture that we had. And then it's also all utilities included. And so based off of, if it's $500 per person in a regular rental apartment, even if it's a shared room, we figured, well, we could do $1,100 fully furnished, utilities included, and we could have anywhere from 2 to 3 people live in the basement. And so
just looking at other apartments in the area that were kind of comparable in size, and you know what, the young ladies who are renting downstairs, they're thrilled about it. They've
been looking for like months.
We're getting a great deal. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So everybody wins.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys took massive action. That is massive, massive action building on that episode. So, I'm listening to that episode as I'm preparing to talk to you guys today. And I didn't know exactly the full scope of what you were going to share with us. I'm sitting here just astounded because that is a financial game changer, as we'll talk about, for what it means for what you can do in the now and also what it's going to mean for your plans for financial independence. You guys must just be trying to hide a grin. Like it's just kind of creeping up to your ears anytime you let it go as a reflex.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then, because we're still kind of in like the project phase of like fixing things up and stuff, but every now and then we just sit back and are like, man, we made a lot of change and we did a lot of good things.
Things are going well.
While, so
things are going pretty well.
Really
is really incredible. And right, to be clear, and just to reiterate on this, you're actually making money to live in your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a family of 4 living for negative, right? Not just free, but negative $100 a month. That's truly remarkable. Yeah. Truly.
I think we just need to have a moment of silence and appreciate what you guys just pulled off.
That's a hard stop on that, right? Like that's amazing. Just to take that kind of action.
Okay. Wow. Okay. We got to figure out how to build on this. So, it's going to be tough to outdo that win, but let's talk about just wins over the past year and then maybe how this plays a role in kind of our year in review.
Okay, so just to build off of that, during 2020, I finished school, and I was
Hallelujah.
Yeah, it was a rough time being in school, but I started work basically in my field. I'm a therapist now, and before I was just kind of a regular Joe employee at where I work, and I was able to transition into a therapist role, which came with a pretty good raise. Yep. And with that raise, we were really comfortable living on our previous income.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, we don't need any of this money.
Yeah.
And I work for the government, so I have access to a 457 plan. And so I just took that whole pay increase, and instead of changing any of the way that we live, I just put all of that money into my 457 account. Yep. And again, to just get specific on the numbers, that's about $1,000 a month.
Yep.
And so we put about $12,000 a year into the 457 account, which isn't quite maxing it out, but we're still pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
Wow, this is fantastic. Okay, so first of all, so earn more, spend less, right? Earn more, spend less, optimize the difference. We'll kind of talk about all these different aspects. Spend less, we just figured out how to live for free. Like as of right now, today, at the time of this recording, you are now to the profit of $100 a month, and you don't have any sort of living expense. So everybody else is paying $1,000 to $5,000 a month for living expense or for shelter. You're making $100 a month. You're getting paid $100. So that's gone. That's a baseline expense. One of the core 3 expenses that's gone. You've also gotten a raise. You guys, I want to preface for everybody listening to this, Zach and Marilyn, your superpower, I wonder if you would say the same thing, was your frugality, like your savings rate. That's really what's enabled this entire conversation. So when you got a raise, it's not to fund your current lifestyle. It's like, wow, look at all this extra that we have now. Where do we want to, how can we best allocate that? That's the ongoing conversation here. Brad, I'll hand this back to you just for additional comments, but we have a $12,000 increase in salary, and we have additionally a $12,000 a year expense that's gone. So net $24,000, $25,000 a year is like, that's the change in what our life, the space that we have, and that's underselling it, because by putting it in the 457, that's going in tax-free right now. It's pre-tax. So really it's probably even a higher gap than that. It's probably closer to $30,000 in space that you've created just with these two choices alone. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess my question to you guys is more of just kind of a mindset one, which is, maybe 5 years ago when you were making significantly less, when you had $50,000 plus in debt, did you ever think you'd get here this quickly?
No, not is even the answer. No.
And we thought that was just life. And I think a lot of people are the same way.
Yeah.
You got this, $400 a month car payment, you're paying your $900 mortgage, and just, you're barely, like, we were making, gosh, $25,000 a year, maybe.
Yeah. And we still don't really make that much, but like you guys already touched on, our frugality, and I think maybe like long-term planning of, okay, this is where we want to be. What are the steps that we need to take to get there? And it really was Zach that started all of this and getting the ball rolling, and okay, we're going to budget and we're going to allocate money for here and there and everywhere. And so every month he would get really, really excited when we paid more on the car or more on this or paid this debt off. And for maybe 4 or 5 years, our tax returns that we got, we just went straight back into the debt. Yeah. We didn't use it for any, like, let's buy a TV or anything like that. And so it took us, how long did it take us to get out of debt?
Oh gosh, 4 years.
4 years to pay it off. And then we were like, okay, what's next? And how do we do this? And so,
during that gap though, it took a little while, but once we found you guys, that was really the catalyst to things started going 10x, things started. And no, back 5 years ago, I could not have imagined being where we are right now.
That is amazing. Yeah. I mean, so many people, there's so many families listening to this that are in that spot where you are, right? And family of 4, you have debt, maybe you don't make as much money as you want, and you think it's impossible, or you think, oh, it's got to be this horrible deprivation to save money, right? Like, and looking at the negatives, but then to see where you guys are and to see the smiles on your, like, it's infectious, right? Like, it is a remarkable thing. And, I'd love for you guys just to take a second and like talk to those families. Like, why is this worth it? Why is it worth kind of stepping off the path? Like, what does it mean to you?
I do talk to those families on a regular basis in my everyday life, and it's interesting. And I've heard other guests talk about this as well. You get so excited about FI, and you want to tell everybody, and a lot of people don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So I'll go and tell, hey, I know it's hard to see the end from the beginning, and I know that, like, it being a 5 or 6 year process, that sounds overwhelming, and I'd rather just buy pay-per-views and eat fast food and all this stuff right now than have to wait all the time. But if you can really adopt that long-term mindset and that thinking of, okay, I can be at this place if I kind of take these steps, it sure is worth it.
I also think our quality of life has improved 100-fold since even just starting and realizing, we can pay these things off and it's not hanging over our head to have 7 payments a month, and here we are now not even having to worry about one payment. It's just taken care of. And it took us, 6-7 years to get here. But if we wouldn't have even taken that first step, then there's no way we would be here now anyways.